Yo, 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 once again, here we go. Yet again, another Sunday. And right
Yes.
away, we're going to jump right into the comments. Not too many people hanging out this Sunday. Must be a busy, busy Sunday for people. We
There's a
got,
lot of shows going on. A lot of
is
shows
it?
this weekend. I've been, I've been watching a lot of the group messages. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, good luck to everybody out there vending. Good luck to all the buyers, all the customers out there. Hopefully, you get to go out there and snag you up something special that you need for your collection. What's going on, the homie Fred? Talk to him, message with him pretty much every morning. What's going on, Jay Slithers? Cold Fusion. What's going on? Good people right there, definitely. Frank is always in the house. He's always first. He was the first one in here today. It's going to be an interesting live today. The homie Kenny, what's good? That's actually a lifelong friend. I used to call him Lil Kenny back in the day, but he
Damn,
grown
back
now.
in
He
the
in his
day, huh?
30s. Yeah, he in his 30s, man. A grown man with kids,
Oh,
you know.
you
Yeah.
guys
So
weren't riding big wheels together?
nah, actually, I was already. That tell you how old I am because I was already grown back then, and he was, he was coming up. But man, what an amazing young man! And, he's turned into an amazing father. Actually, he's been getting into the crested gecko game. As crazy as it sounds.
Oh, there
So
you
yeah,
go.
we've been tapping back in on that. Ramery, what's going on, big man? Big Mike, what's good? And the fat man himself. What's going on, bro? So
Oh,
today's live is going to be very, very interesting because we're going to touch on that very, very infamous topic of gatekeeping, and I want to hear your input on it. I pretty much hit Darren up and told him, hey, we should talk about this. And then we just started talking about regular life stuff after that. So there's really not a whole bunch of prep work. You're going to see, I've done a lot of research on my side, plus regular life stuff as far as being in the industry now. And being what I call a grasshopper, we're still learning new things. I even call Darren. He more of a vet. He got me by a decade in this game. So we want to kind of spread as much information as possible. We can't grow without other people wanting to stay in the industry as well as other people wanting to get into the industry. And this has always been a huge topic as far as getting in was the gatekeeping aspect of it. As far as back in your day, I got to throw it on the old man. That was one of the things you kind of led with. Before we even had snakes at all, you said it was a big, big top secret way back when,
mhm.
and a lot of misinformation. We kind of touch on it on different videos and different lives here and there. But like we say, I think a lot of the lives in the podcast world is just an opinion. I think you'll have more reach overall if you direct your podcast somewhere on a topic. For instance, this is going to be all gatekeeping topic, the entire podcast today. So if somebody was searching up that topic or wanted to go down that rabbit hole, they can kind of find you, do the rewatch thing without having a kind of blanket title there and rewatching and possibly come across something they want to listen to.
There you go.
So, yep, yep, yep. So tell us a little bit about when you jumped in. A little bit of the information, good information, bad information. What was your experience stepping foot into the game?
Batman said, send him the link. What's up,
Oh,
Aaron?
man, absolutely. That's no issue. That's no issue at all. I'll send that right now. But tell us a little bit.
So a little bit with me, it was kind of like, the little secrets. They were gatekeeping the little secrets that we put out now. Everybody's talking about them on podcasts, but the biggest one was when I got in, it was the candy gene,
Okay.
candy toffee. Nobody wanted to tell you that it was a lilac with albino because they knew it would drop the price of the project.
Hmm.
When you get normals for 2,500, 3 grand, depending on male or female, nobody wanted to say that because they wanted to make the money off the heads.
Right. Wow. Wow. And how did you see that snowball? What did that end up turning into? And what was the time frame of that? Like, was it okay, 1, 2 seasons, and then it kind of the
And
information
no,
got
it
out
was a
there?
couple of seasons. So by the time it hit 2014, you could buy a pure candy for like 700, 800 bucks.
Hmm.
So when they first came out, I think you're looking at like 2009, 10, when they
Okay.
started really actually rolling out. But by that time, 2014, it was already dropping down in price. But it took over time. But you had the candy gene that kind of plummeted, but then the albinos, people wanted to start picking up the albinos and then making them from the albinos, so that you get candinos. So you get half and half. Half the clutch would be, theoretically, half would be candies, and half would be candinos.
Okay. And you think it was definitely like a malicious intent at that time. It
Well,
wasn't like
yeah, well, because you got to think everybody was gatekeeping projects.
right.
So whatever project or new gene that was out, it was kind of like, okay, we want to make mass produce that one and sell it for as much as we can before the market drops.
Now this is the thing though, and that's exactly why. And we got Fat Man in the back. What's going on, Chris? Going to bring him on in just a minute. Got to be devil's advocate. We've had other businesses and be completely fair. This is why I wanted to do this specific live. I don't necessarily, and it's just my opinion, I don't think that is 100% gatekeeping. You see, you said they're gatekeeping certain genes away from the. No, that's just smart business. Smart business. If you come across a new gene, maybe nobody has it.
Mhm.
Why are you selling that? You need to hold on to it, work it to its full potential, and then when you see when it does what it does with certain combos, you start to let
That see,
things go
but
here and there. But
mindset was different.
when you have
Yeah.
the information there, and you know that this can, possibly make the gene go up or go down, and you choose to hold information back, I think that's gatekeeping.
Yes, but at the
You see what I'm
time,
saying?
nobody was thinking about doing combos. It wasn't really that
Mhm.
combo mindset. It was, okay, let's get this gene, let's make as much as we can. Nobody had that mindset of, hey, let's add that many
But
combos. That wasn't until
it still would be
BLC.
the same thing. For example,
Mhm.
it's like if I'm Mr. Lamborghini and I produce Lamborghinis, why am I going to create the first Lamborghini and without a patent or anything and just put it out there to all the other car dealerships and say, hey, you guys can make your cars better with using these materials, that material, build it like this with this structure, use
Mhm.
this science to back it up. I'm gonna give you all my information, all my knowledge just because I made the first one. How about I fine tune it, see what I can improve on it, see what I can come across on the generations as far as improving that, and then put it out there. It's not really about packing the genes on it. It's just like if you had a single gene incomplete dominant snake and you're trying to figure it out, you need it to reproduce itself. That's where
Mhm.
we, as new breeders, we fail. If I hit a new snake right now, ABC gene, and it is out of this world and it's an incomplete dominant, I'm doing backflips because Justin or Ozzy or whoever wants to give me $50,000 for the snake. Now, if I don't care about where I'm at in the industry or hobby, that's fine. Sell it, be happy. But then you can't necessarily be angry 2 years later, 10 years later, when that person makes $1 million off of something that you gave away.
Yep.
Let's
True.
bring on Chris. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Just living the dream. You know how it is.
Hey, I love it, love it, love it, love it, love
Every
it.
day. Every day.
So the
Good.
topic today is gatekeeping. What do you think
Oh,
about the
let's hear it.
gatekeeping aspect?
Um, I've been in it longer than you guys. The
Yep.
gatekeeping thing has really went back to like the '90s, right? Because the '90s, we were getting in all these animals, right, from all these different places. Nobody knew how to take it. There's no internet back in the '90s, right? So nobody knew how to care for these blue tree monitors or these,
Right.
Mhm.
anacondas or anything. So normally, and we were actually just talking about this on one of my storytellers episodes, is that you would get an animal in and you would kill like five of them from bad
Hmm.
husbandry. And then
Right.
when you finally kept it alive and bred it, everybody was like, "Oh, how'd you do that? How'd you do that?" So there was a competitive advantage to sell more animals by not having a bunch of other people sell the animals. And like you were saying, I don't think that that's a gatekeeping thing. I think that a
Right.
gatekeeping thing is actively discouraging competition. That's what I think. And telling your
Mhm.
people not to listen to these people, telling your people not to deal with these other people. That's what I think the
Right.
more gatekeeping thing is, because it is just a competitive advantage to be able to know how to do something that other people don't. I mean, why do you think Facebook is the only Facebook? Why do you think that Samsung doesn't tell Toshiba how to put out better
Right.
monitors? So that's competitive advantage. Gatekeeping would be like Samsung telling the world in an advertisement that Toshiba is a piece of shit and
Right.
their monitors aren't worth it, or their products aren't worth it.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot is going on now. And I find it funny that
Absolutely.
it's going on in the podcasting thing. Like, do we
Oh
really
yeah.
have that to talk about? That now we're going to talk about the people that talk about it. So it's just so stupid nowadays.
Yeah, I gotta be in cahoots with you on that one. We
Yep.
saw that a very, very long time ago. We kind of ignored the BS, but we said the same thing you said, even more so. I'm an advocate of, hey, grab a camera, record your daily stuff, put it out there, but from a different perspective. Even the vloggers, how I got Audra to really start stepping in front of the camera. I'm like, babe, we're going, because both our parents are gone. And we sit, we get a lot, sentimental about things. Like, man, yeah, it was back in the day, VCR tapes and things like that, but it'd be awesome to have a digital footprint of my grandfather, just to watch a few videos and hear him talk. So more from that aspect, we try to encourage people. Who cares? Because when you get started, nobody's going to be looking at your videos.
Nobody's going to watch anyway.
And that's what I agree with you about, Chris. Nobody's going to be watching your videos. Just get up there, act a fool, be you, put up information that you feel is pertinent and correct. I'm not saying go out there and mislead people, and then evolve over time. It's nothing for me to get on camera and say, hey, I said this before when I was ignorant and did not know. This is what I know now to correct it and move forward. It's like no one can kind of, take their licks and learn from them. Everybody got to kind of fall on their sword, right or wrong and different. And I think that's the error in our ways. That's the error in our ways.
If you could teach somebody something, you should teach them. Like I remember, like I went and did something, and I told the person it was stupid, right? And I came back and I was telling my friend about it, and I'm like, yeah, screw that guy, like
Mhm.
I didn't tell him shit, New York represent, right? Like fucking I'm New York, we don't tell anybody
New
nothing,
York.
right? And my friend goes, well, why didn't you tell him how to do it? So he did it better. So now more people will learn how to do it better, and you could be responsible for bringing more people into the. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about that at the time, right? So I was like, let me go back and actually tell the guy, what to do. But yeah, it's just a matter of uh, you could talk negative. Like I don't feel I talk negative about people. I talk negative in a way that hopefully makes other people laugh, and it makes the
Mhm.
person I'm talking negative about just think like, oh, maybe he's right about that, and that was pretty funny. Okay, what I
Right.
really hate is when I make insanely funny comments and I get a "fuck you, I hope you die" email from that guy,
Mhm.
and I was
Right.
like, dude, relax, man, it was just a joke. And people are, especially with podcasting with reptile people, um, you can't just generalize, because if you generalize, then everybody thinks you're talking about
About them.
directly
Mhm.
them.
Right.
Like I called somebody like a white trash inbreeder, moonshine running piece of shit, right? And I got like 10 DMs being like, yo, why do you hate me? And I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about you when I said that.
He said
So
moonshine.
it's rough, man. It's rough because you got to walk a line, but
Right.
the line is because everybody just gets so offended so quick now.
Act.
Like nobody, if I had said that Ken Masick doesn't know how to do ball pythons 20 years ago, he
Right.
wouldn't have called me on the phone or fucking IM'd me on AOL and said, "Man, you really hurt my feelings. You shouldn't have did that." Ken would have just went out and proved that he could do ball pythons,
Right.
better. And that's lacking these days.
Yeah, I think it's
skills
a
required.
generation.
Everybody's putting out such nice stuff nowadays.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, there's still people that are putting out garbage, but it's but everybody's putting out such amazing things now. I don't know why they're crapping all over each other.
Right. It's funny. Well, Beast Morph State, they just said it's a very relevant topic about new genes, because that's always the thing. I actually talked to someone through private message on Instagram about a new gene. They were super excited, and they want to get into just picking up a new gene and developing it. And I asked them, hey, have you put all your infrastructure in place? They're like, yeah, we have a rack. We have that. I'm like, no. Have you went into detail, your 5-year plan? What are you planning to do with it? Are you going to prove it out? What if it proves to be the same as something else?
Right.
If it does prove to be an actual gene, you realize you're not going to make any money on that gene at all for 5 years or so, because you have to hold everything back, test things out. And after they started doing their own due diligence, they actually decided to go with a more established gene and stay completely away from new genes.
Yep.
So it's just about getting the information out there in hopes of, letting someone make their own conscious decision,
Well,
and I think
have a story about that. When we were with BALLZ, we bought a new gene from Ralph Davis called we renamed it the Rain gene, right? And this was maybe 15 years ago, maybe. Danny is still working with the Rain gene. He just isolated it like 3 years ago, and he's just putting out nice Rain stuff now.
right.
And that's 15 years.
Look at
So
that.
if I had the choice, I would not have invested in that gene, because
I
if
agree.
it takes 15 years to prove something out,
Right.
you're already over 500 months behind.
Absolutely.
First person that you sell it to. So it's a rough thing dealing with new genes. Now, if you're Justin,
Right.
or Miguel, I mean, you do all the new genes you want. But if you're
Right, because you have
like
the
me,
established collection and run it. Yeah, you're
yeah.
right.
Well, also, the thing is that what everybody keeps forgetting is that, let's say they prove out a new gene, right? You'll be able to get $5,000 for it, but Justin will be able to get $20,000 for it, right?
Right.
So,
Accurate.
so you don't have the Rolodex to do what that gene is worth, because otherwise, what's going to happen is Justin's just going to buy it off you from, for a discount. He's going
Right.
to make 50 of them, and he's going to be able to sell them at $20,000 a piece, because Justin has the Rolodex that none of these new people have.
Accurate.
These people that think that they have a money Rolodex don't know the best ball python keepers in the country. I could guarantee you've never heard of them.
Right. Right.
So and those are just the keepers. Those are the people. Those are the hockey players that could afford $25,000 a snake. Those are the celebrities that could afford this insane amount of money. So yeah, I just think that taking it back to gatekeeping, it's just stupid to do to run like you forget that this is supposed to be a business for most people. Everybody claims that it's a business. I would say a large majority doesn't treat it like a business at all.
I agree. That's been the major point we've been trying to hit the nail on the head with. You were talking about actually about projects and price points, because I love this topic that we can actually all have these different perspectives on it, and you being in it as long as you've been in it. But you mentioned something that's very important that people misunderstand. You have a new gene, regardless of who has it, that gene is going to be low on supply, and hopefully you're trying to make it high on the demand. Simple supply and demand business mechanics. That means that in theory, that price for that gene is going to be higher, whatever that price point is. Like you said, $25,000, $10,000. And some people feel that the price points are gatekeeping. I have to disagree. with that, we pay some crazy prices for snakes. But I disagree on that. I think we're misunderstanding what gatekeeping is, and that's why I'm happy you're actually explaining it from your perspective.
I hate that supply and demand thing because it's been used so much that it
Right,
makes any idiot be able to sound smart. He's like basic supply and demand, right? And like you don't even know what that means, dude. Okay.
right.
Um, Bottom line is that a ball python is only worth what somebody else will pay
He's going
for
to
it.
pay for it.
So you could have a $10,000 animal. A dude could be like, I bought my pied in Petco for $200. I like the way that my pied looks better than your $20,000 hurricane. So
That's
they're not
true.
going to pay $20,000 for it.
It happens a lot.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it definitely does. And
Mhm.
as much as people are hating on, and I don't mean to soapbox here, but
No.
as much as people are hating on this Theo Vaughn interview that's going around with the pyramid scheme,
I was waiting for this
okay,
one.
the only thing that did was Theo Vaughn has 8 million people listening to
That's
him
right.
every week. The only thing that did was make everybody's job harder to bring new people into this
Yep.
to breed. Because now
Mhm.
everybody's going to be like, 8 million people are out there thinking, well, the guy on Theo Vaughn said it was a pyramid scheme. There's no way I'm going to, so
Right.
it literally made everybody's job harder. I'm not going to
Right.
stop listening to Theo Vaughn, though. I love the guy, so I'm still going to listen. But
Yeah.
um, it's definitely it was a hit. It was a what did I call it?
A black
When
eye. Definitely.
well, it was like collateral damage. It was a
Mhm.
collateral
Collateral
hit.
damage. Yeah.
Like they didn't mean to do it,
Right.
but they did do it because you could tell anybody with half a brain is going to be like, hell no, I'm not doing that. Because they don't know the hobby. They know what Theo Vaughn said on a pop culture podcast.
Right.
I love how it's a day trade. Market is a day trade.
That was great. Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure it out. A day trade. How can I day trade ball pythons? Like
I think they used the information of what they thought they knew and just kind of like
yes.
put it out there and just kind of flew by the seat of their pants. But yeah, I actually agree with Beast Morris. As far as on the information side, I don't really think it's a thing at the moment, but that's my opinion. I'm a little grasshopper in the game. I just think people have varying definitions of gatekeeping, which is creating more of an issue.
Yeah, Beast
Yeah.
Morph's a smart guy. Like he's been doing this for a while too, and he knows what's going on. But gatekeeping, as far as information,
Yeah.
maybe good information because there's a lot of crappy information out there,
Right.
and you know the way that the crappy information could be lessened is that people on the platforms that bring in people should vet them a little bit. They should be like, how long have you been doing it? Like just because you could afford a freedom breeder and have a freedom breeder behind you during a live doesn't
Right.
mean you know what you're doing, you know.
But now you're touching on a sensitive topic of common sense now. Common
Yeah,
sense ain't common, man. And that's the hardest thing I think, because for instance, if you say something or Darren say something, we could all be friends. But if you sitting here trying to convince me to go rob a bank, you on your own, bro. That's a bad idea. And like you,
yeah.
you can go do that on your own. So I don't understand how you can be a fan of anyone, ourselves included. But if something that we're putting out or presenting to you is detrimental to you, you still agree. It's like ride or die, no matter wrong,
Right.
like right, wrong, and different. And that's where we're messing up.
Yeah, so many people ride or die with idiots, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's just I remember when there's been twice in my life where I could feel the disappointment in my father's look, you know. And the first time was I was like, Dad, I'm moving out to LA to become a musician, right? The look on his face was like, so where did I go wrong? The only other time that I got that same exact look was when I came back from LA and kind of did, well enough in music. And the only other time I got that look was when I told him I was starting a ball python breeding company. All right.
He was like,
He
what?
gave me that look again. And then I was just like, damn, right.
You're breaking his heart.
I can guess it again because I didn't like getting that look from my dad, and but they both turned out to make money. That's what people don't understand is you can make money, but you can't make money if you just half-ass it. Like I don't care if you just got 50 ball pythons. You know, if you half-ass it, you're gonna get less out of this whole thing than the guy that has 50 ball pythons and full asses it,
Right.
his way to the top. So
I'll put it out there like this, and it's weird because I don't know if we can correct it as a society. But even in law enforcement, I've seen things toward the end of my career over there where you had guys coming fresh out of the academy, guys and girls get on the force 1-2 years and they're ready to jump ship and go to a different department because they're not sergeant yet. So it's like this quick overturn of wanting, how to entitlement expectations. And it's like, that's the same thing here. It's like, hey, I buy this, I spend a lot of money. Yeah.
Get a law enforcement job, right? Automatically, don't you get like great benefits and all this other shit? And they're ready to jump ship after like 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, what is wrong with you? You basically, law enforcement would be like working for yes, I did say AOL, Big Daddy. Yep. I remember when I was moving, I had like 200 of those CDs that they sent you in the mail, from AOL, like hop on AOL now. And I use those as coasters for like the next 3 weeks. But it's funny because I just don't think the whole gatekeeping thing applies these days unless it's the talking negative about like other people. That's what's
right.
That's what's really gonna do it in, right? Like
Right.
if you're like, this particular person is full of shit, he doesn't know what he's talking about, you could just move on with your day,
Right.
and be like, okay, I'm not gonna talk shit, I'm gonna try and do less. But that's what I've been just trying to be a little bit more positive and let people know that
Right.
at the end of the day, nobody's going to do this alone.
Exactly.
Who thinks that they have a big enough following to do it alone?
Definitely. They're absolutely crazy if they think they're going to do that.
Small YouTubers have 100,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah.
And we have like anywhere from 3 to 12. And we think that we're
doing big things. Yeah. And that's
right?
not happening.
Yeah,
not happening.
We are not, And
hey, Elias, definitely. We talked on that earlier with the podcast. Definitely, I agree with you on the podcast. There's definitely people that's pushing people away from certain people because of personal opinions or personal grudges. I agree with you.
Yeah, well, we just actually went through that. That was the reason that I put out that video. Because I knew the person it happened to doesn't like controversy. I know he would never do it. And I don't mind, I don't mind a little controversy. Like, I'm going to keep doing this because it's fun, right? Like, if people call me
New Yorkers.
No. If you snake people call me out, I'll start up a show called Rakes in the Fat Man and only have fucking Mexican gardeners on the show. Just different.
My God.
Yep. I'll do breaks in the Fat Man and only have mechanics on, right? So I don't really care, but also people are full of shit because of online, right? Like people curse you out online. I can't tell you the amount of shows that I've been to where I know that dudes hate me and have actively been talking shit to me. And they're like, yo, Fat Man, can I get a picture? And you got to do it. You got to do it.
It's funny you say that because that's another topic that Darren and I, we talked about getting in. We've been doing the geckos and everything and doing the snakes, but even we've been with the geckos and we try to have a good old time, get out there, touch and talk with our customers. But it was a different world. We used to do the dogs like way back when, and Darren did too. And that was a different world. Like you had people that were coming when I was in Jersey, they're going down to Virginia with a pocket full of money, and they going to Virginia because they're going to jail. They're going to
Right.
Virginia to punch so and so in the face on site, and it is what
It
it
was
is. And
going
I'm like,
down. There was no talking about it.
yeah.
Just give
And
it
that's
in.
not, I'm not saying that, violence and all that stuff. I get it. If you have an issue, handle your issue with that person, talk it out, figure it out. But as far as just going to people that have nothing to do with the issues whatsoever and spewing all this nonsense, how about you solve the problem?
Yeah.
That's my thing with it.
Well, it was funny because also on another storytellers that we're putting out this year, I talked to Ken Masick and Mike Stefani, right? And they've been
Mhm.
both doing this for 30 years. I mean, since the late 80s, they've been doing it. And they used to tell me about Lee Watson's Reptile Swap, which was the
Okay.
second reptile show in the country, right? And they like if you could get like an alligator there, you could get a kangaroo, you could get a Komodo dragon, you could get any of these things, right? Um, and when you got caught talking shit about there, Lee Watson's reptile swap was in a barn. You got taken behind the barn and had the shit beat out of you in but- and that was like the late 80s, early 90s. When you think about it, really wasn't that long ago, right? So
Hey,
but
it was
it's funny that you mentioned the dogs because Brittany Gobble would tell me stories about the cat,
Yeah.
industry.
being
Yep.
just as catty and petty and just she
Oh
actually
yeah.
said she doesn't mind the reptile space because it's a lot less catty than the cat world was. So I could
Right.
imagine the dog world. I mean, the dog world I could see uh, a greater amount of ass kickings going on
Oh
there.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then
could
Especially in
definitely.
bullies, you thought everybody was gangsters. It was like gang
yeah, it
members
was
jumping in and
crazy.
start making money off of dogs. It's like the
And
new
then
dope game.
how much of it is drummed up out of perception too? You brought up Brittany Gobble, for example. I met her as well as Kevin McCurley at I believe it was Tinley. It was either Tinley or Daytona, one of them. But they came over to the booth and we were sitting there talking, and we obviously vending with the geckos, but we were talking about snakes and different projects the entire time. And people as deep in the industry as they are literally was at our booth for about 45 minutes while we were
Yep.
talking snakes and different projects. I mean, they're showing pictures and everything, going through different details of genes. And that's why we put out a lot of content ourselves, trying to tell people, hey, you see us at a show, come tap us on the shoulder, take pictures. You ain't got to buy something. But people are legitimately intimidated
Yeah.
by even the smallest vendor.
Yeah.
And when you approach or you just look at them, they'll come up with their own assumptions without taking that step and kind of wanting to meet, greet, or anything. And they'll run. And next, they tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And now you have a reputation of you're being an asshole.
Yeah.
And that's very, very difficult to kind of overcome. But I think if everybody get out there, I mean, everybody human, man. At the end of the day, we were regular people. Just, go talk to that person and figure out whether you even like them or not. Make your own
Well,
determination.
I mean, like in reality, right? On paper, I should not be friends with people like Brittany Gobble and Justin, right? Like these are
Right.
people that are majorly, positive in the hobby. Don't curse, don't
Hmm.
do any of this. Like if you're comparing us on paper, you would be like, this is not that these two are not going to be friends.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it turns out that that's why when people do talk shit about me, I just think to myself, listen, these people wouldn't sponsor or represent me if I was as big a piece of shit as what
Exactly.
you're saying. You know. So
Right.
so that's all it takes is to to just most of the people in this hobby are likable, okay? Because
Mhm.
we
Right.
all got the same fucked up in the head thing where like we're weird, right? Like we collect reptiles. We do yeah. So you're weird right off the bat. But if you went out and threw a rock at a person, what are
Hmm.
the chances that you're going to be friends with that guy, outside of the reptile thing, you know?
Right.
But like there's just enough to have not in common than in common, and the stuff you have in common can't always save like a relationship.
Accurate.
Yep.
Accurate. Accurate. That's wild. That's wild. They getting on you. They said Darren's a little grasshopper. Man, I always got the height jokes with you, buddy.
Yeah, because you put him out there. You see this guy? He put a
Yeah, but dude, I mean, fucking, it's so it must be awesome to be that height, to you know, to just to be 3'9", like every day must be awesome. Every day you got to prove yourself, right?
Every
pretty
day.
much you do.
I'm sure every day. I'm sure every day somebody walks up behind Darren and grabs him by the back of the shirt and the
Oh my
waist of the
God.
pants and tries to throw him somewhere, you know, because they think he's a dwarf. But
Yeah.
you know, you just got to just remember, like Gimli from Lord of the Rings was pretty badass, dude, and he was a dwarf too. So don't worry, don't let that hold you back, guy.
Don't
Right?
let it hold you back, huh?
This guy.
Oh God.
Look at this. Come on.
Sorry. That's my fault. I don't know what I clicked on that one. My bad.
Yeah, but dude, if you got people making memes out of you, fuck, yeah, that's awesome, man. That's
They do.
Absolutely.
like there's a podcaster that has a hate page on YouTube, right, for people that hate him, and and I get so mad that I never hit that point. I'm like, damn, why didn't people get a page? You know, make a page saying what an asshole I am, right? But now that I look back, I'm like, all right, it's probably a little bit better off because once it's on YouTube, it's there forever, you know. And I've said some dumb shit over, 9 years. Like, remember, I've been doing this for almost a decade, so
Right.
you could go out and pinpoint 100 dumb things I've said every year. So I've said almost 1,000 dumb things in a public form.
It's still there. It's still there.
They're gonna be there forever. You know, people still pull.
Man.
You know,
It's just gonna take one person to pull all of it up. You just have to
right.
make that right person mad, and they're gonna be like, "All right, I'm going in."
the first time I did a Hot Girls episode, right?
Oh, yeah.
All the under 30 white women, they were all coming after me, right? Because they get offended for you, right? So
What?
yeah, so they were trying to cancel me and everything, right? And they were pulling up things that I Facebooked in like 2001, right? Like I would make a white trash joke about a woman with 7 kids hanging out at the bar until 4 a.m. And they tried to like Kevin Hart me, man. They tried to Kevin Hart me in 2022. So it's yeah, people do that, man. People have a lot of time on their hands these days.
I don't understand why they'd be so offended of that. Like, I don't get it. Why?
Well,
Me either.
dude, I didn't even know that they must have had a meeting where girls didn't like being called hot anymore. But I didn't go to that meeting. And
You missed that meeting?
the under 30 white women went to that meeting and they did not like it.
It's just like anything else.
Under 30 white women are the worst people on the planet, I'll tell you that.
Well, thankfully enough, my wife is over 30. Really
that's right.
over 30. And she gonna curse
If
me
you
out.
don't like it, change your channel. There's plenty of YouTube channels. Plenty. A whole bunch.
Oh my gosh.
Bert
So it's funny
Kreischer,
getting you guys on. She comes peeking in here. The cultural differences. It's funny to be up here with you, Chris. You from New York. I was telling actually Audrey before we did your show. I'm like, yeah, New York and New Jersey, as close as they are, they have a lot of differences. They are not the same. You come from the same region, but I think a lot of things that make us all different is one thing that make us kind of drawn together, which is the snakes and the interest on the snakes. When we go to the shows and we kind of set up and we meet and greet and we hang out with different crews, I love the fact that the snakes is kind of breaking through somewhat all the cultural division that's out there. You have a lot of people that will only buy from certain people, only deal with certain people, but now that face-to-face contact, you kind of have a chance to put your first impression out there. Again, kind of figuring out for yourself whether you want to spend your money with somebody else or not. I think that's the big thing now, having so many breeders, even if they aren't successful, you have options now on who you really, really want to work with. I think that's a positive thing to a certain extent.
Well, right now there's always another snake, right? It used to
Hmm.
be where you had to buy from an asshole because
Right,
this was the one snake in the country that you could buy from, right? But
right.
now there's always another snake right now. So that's a good thing. And like I said before, everybody for the most part is producing like killer stuffs,
Hmm.
what I think is going to happen is eventually there's going to be some kind of like market cap on an average gorgeous ball python, right? Like
Right.
uh and that is going to be between $4,000 and $5,000,
Hmm.
and your snake will be worth $4,000 and $5,000 no matter what genes are in it or whatever. Because we have like a celebrity Zoom call on my channel that we do for our Patreon, and Justin was on it, and somebody asked him, he's like, what are you going to do when the average snake at Petco looks just as good as a $20,000 snake that you produced,
Hmm.
right? And it may not have the same genes and all that, but the person who bought that snake will be thinking, hey, my red stripe pied desert ghost that I bought at Petco looks just as good as Justin's new whatever, blah blah blah, cupcake Oreo, whatever thing, right? And and even Justin was like, this is why you got to constantly stay ahead. And
Right.
it kind of nailed to the point where uh there's only so many breeders that are going to be selling to other breeders
Hmm.
before before you're not going to be able to sell to pet people, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
it's like there could only be breeders can't buy from other breeders forever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
there's gonna be some kind of inflection point where it stops, where it's like, I can't give this thing. And that's the other thing about the ball python people is you have no self control, right? Even if you make $10,000 at a show, your dumb asses will go out and spend seven of it,
No,
and
sir.
buy a new snake, you know.
I do see that. I see that though. Definitely. I see that.
Like like have a stash in the bank first. Be
Yeah.
Yeah.
be
Oh
a
yeah.
good little saver before you start, spending all the money that you just work that day for. So
Right.
um it's funny. Like if there was a rule that this had to be run like a business, I would say close to 90% of the people would be thrown out,
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah.
So
I
Yeah.
mean, even speaking of going to detail on that, I mean, talk about the elephant in the room and very, very, very hard topic. I mean, selling these snakes and selling to a breeder or a pet keeper, you got to talk on the fact that, I mean, probably over 75% of the people who aspire to be breeders fail. I mean, that's a topic that needs to be addressed. I mean, they literally fail. And no matter how much help they get, how much assistance, whether they get to start over, it's just the odds, just like a clutch. It's just the odds. That's
yep.
just how it works.
Yep. My father told me, he goes, when I told him I was starting a ball python business, he goes, Jesus, why don't you start something a little bit safer, like starting a restaurant? Right. And I was just like, yeah, I know. I know it seems that way, right? I know it seems that way, but um like you got to really love it. And people give me a lot of shit for getting out, but I got out when I lost the passion. I was just like, there's no this became a job, you, you
Hmm.
know,
Mhm.
the reason that I started this was because I didn't want a job, you know.
Right.
So when it becomes a job, I tell people all the time, I'm like, there's a world of difference between opening up a drawer and taking a picture of your snake because you want to, or opening up a drawer and taking a picture of your snake because you have to, because you got to
Right.
get rid of that snake, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
That part.
And that's a totally different mindset when you're like, holy crap, I got to take 3,000 pictures from Morph Market tonight, and I gotta do all this and upload it. And Morph Market's upload feature never works the way it's supposed to, so the pictures won't always going to
See,
go up.
I,
So
I'm gonna come for you, Chris, a little bit. I'm gonna come for you,
He
but
comes for me
that's
all the
because
time on this
you,
because I
you're OG.
I
You've
love to
been in
post
this
pictures.
way longer than I have, way longer. And I think a lot because I go back and forth with Limey too. He's family. But Limey's created his own lane. You know, I remember first meeting him and it's him turning down sales. I'm watching like, oh, if you don't pay cash, you know, hey, I'm not selling, I'm not doing credit cards and any of it. And I thought it was very weird from my perspective, you know, because as a business, I mean, we take what you got, you know, whatever you use. And so I started picking his brain, and now I understand what he's created. He's created his own lane. He's created his own clientele, his own customer base, and he's been doing it for however many years. And that's what success is for him. Coming even where you're coming from, you're coming up through that same era where the show money was big. You did, you know, you packed up, you went to the shows, and now we're in a weird spot because now the shows are very important, but you need both. You need both in order to be successful.
I will not deny that you need Morph Market. There's no doubt that you need Morph Market, right? Mm-hmm. But you know, but you start looking through history, and whenever something happened where there was a company where the world couldn't survive without them,
I agree.
Somebody came up with a better way to do it, you know. So so I have no doubt that Morph Market. First of all, Morph Market was great. Everybody knows I loved it when John was there, and you know, John was taking
right.
With Darian, I just have some disagreements on different levels of it. But I'm in a position where I'm okay because I know enough people where I don't need Morph Market for anything. So I could be a little bit more vocal about some of the steps that I agree with, right? But somebody like, you know, that makes a living off of it, you know, they need it because, you know, just remember, like somebody asked on the celebrity Zoom call too, it was a Storytellers episode where he goes, I'd be really worried about the ball python market where one or two or three guys could determine whether my collection is worth $100,000 or my collection is worth $3,000.
Right.
You know? And that's true too, you know, so
absolutely.
So no matter how you cut it, whatever Justin says is going to be rule of law for at least 2 weeks, right? Because that seems to be the amount of time that ball python people remember things, right? So they're like, oh, this guy did something really fucked up. I'm never going to deal with him again. 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, I was dealing with that guy again, and you know, I bought something from him. That seems to be the kind of the behavior.
The threshold of time,
So
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
so no matter what you say, you know, thank God my show used to only come out once a month because I said something stupid. 2 weeks later, I forgot about it. A month later, they're like, oh, they thought I was brand new, you know. So
I think it's really almost like the viral moment of the week. If it goes viral for that week, that's it. We're done. Yeah. It's just that 1 week, and then it's over with.
But it's nowadays, though.
Yeah,
it's not just with ball. I mean, look at the hot tour girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, nobody's heard anything from her, you know. So
she made a Bitcoin and then
right, and it failed. Yeah, nothing happened to her. Yeah.
She had no strategy. I mean, I don't know where else she could have took her talents to, but I guess she had no strategy set up. We actually get on Darren about that too. Doing it your show, the 15 minutes of lame. Yeah.
You knew from the initial video she was some hillbilly.
It didn't go anywhere with it. Yeah.
You know, you're going to give her $1 million, and then when it goes off the rails, you're going to be like, oh, I never thought that would have happened. Yeah, okay.
Tim says she's busy. Oh my God. But Darren was leading into it. He was saying, I beat up on him all the time. I say, you know, you were a 15 minutes of lame contestant last year. I said, okay, ride it out. He pushed, he campaigned. I said, all right, well, what are we going to do now? You know, you didn't win. Charlie won. I said, it's still a win. We just had this conversation. I said, it's still a win. You might have didn't win the show, but now I said, bro, you're 20 years into your career. You're on the brink of retiring. You have umpteen racks. You've been doing this for over a decade now, and this is what you intend on doing after you retire from your job and you're receiving a pension. Why are you not everywhere online, posting all over social media, riding that wave stemming from your show and make it a win? why do you have available snakes that aren't posted online? Like, you're dropping the bag. We have these crazy conversations.
Here was my thought originally, because like from season 1, you know, Jeremy Bard, Corey Martin, these people are still like household names in the thing. So like I kind of like no, I love hillbillies. I actually love white trash. So it's all good. Don't worry about that. I'm a big fan of the women, right? Or reptiles. He's going to be on 15 minutes too. But what I was hoping the whole thing would be is that, like, even if you don't win, you could get like that credit on your resume, where, you know how like when there's an actor and they're like you know Emmy nominated or Oscar nominated,
right?
It could be like 15 minutes of lane contestant. Like, we're doing something big for the vets that we're announcing next week or next month rather.
Right.
And Jay from Green Line, who was also in the contest this year, is going to get a ton of publicity from that. And the only reason he's in it is that he was in the 15 minutes of lane contest, you know?
Right. Wow.
That even I mean, even think of Patrick. Now, what is he? Aura.
Yeah,
Aura. He was on the first. Was the first one?
Yeah, first season 1. Yeah.
Look how successful he is. Even being on the first one, he's
dude. We were on a Zoom call one night with Patrick, and there was like 30 people there, right? And I asked everybody how much they made in ball pythons over their career, right? And I was going down the line, and each guy was like 22,000, 40,000, 80,000, 30,000. And it gets to Patrick, and Patrick is like, I don't know if I should say, right? And I'm like, no, you got to say, right? And he's like, 1.8 million, you know? And I'm like, damn, that like, Patrick is one of those guys who you've never heard of, but is incredibly successful in this thing.
Right. Oh, we've had several conversations. Yep.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah. And
Sammy
too. Yeah.
Sammy, that was another guy stepping up during the competition. That's so crazy. And we see him at all the big shows. He's doing his rounds. He's getting his name out there, his brand out there. And it's hard not to like Sammy. Sammy is that guy.
I love Sammy in a way that a man should not love another man. And I didn't want to like him. I didn't want to like him when I first met him, because he was on another podcaster show who I don't like at all, right? So I was like, I'm not going to like this guy, right? And I met Sammy at a Bigfoot convention, right? Where me, Paul from Large Marge, and Sammy were there, right? And I remember me and Paul pull up, and all the retard places are taken, right? All the retard spots are taken, right? So we got to drive all the way to the back of the fucking parking lot, right? And I know I told this story before. Stop me if you heard it. And we go to the Bigfoot convention. We buy our dumb stuff, right? We take pictures and all that. We're on our way back and through the parking lot now. We're getting ready to go to dinner. And Sammy goes, yo, check it out. I parked in a retard place. Spot. And I was like, you motherfucker, like you took the spot away from a crippled dude. Like we had to park a mile away because. And then he goes and he's like, I got the plaque, and he goes in the car and he pulls out some piece of shit plaque that his granddaughter drew from him for him. It wasn't even like a real handicap plaque. And I was like, dude, I hate you. We're not going to dinner now. You know, me and Paul just left.
Oh my gosh!
And on the way home, you took the parking spot away from me.
I really like that guy, man. He's just he's just a fun dude to hang out with.
Oh
man.
My gosh! Wow.
We were in Canada together, and you know, he got crazy high with Austin. And it was just. And he's more likable high. Like fucking, he's great when he's high. He's one of the few people I know that when he's high, he's ready to go. You know, he's ready to do stuff. I'm like, dude, relax. You smoke weed, man. You should be wanting to chill out for a minute. He's like, no. I think what we want to do. He's like, I want to find a bagel. You know, I'm like, I want to find a bagel. It's 1:30. I want to find a bagel. You know.
The munchies kicked in.
Austin told me about that story. Austin told me about that story. He said he had got so wasted. He said every time they passed it to him, he just started just putting it to his mouth. He said he must have forgot that it's weed. So when you inhale, you see it. Like so, he just put it to his mouth and just passed it.
He wasn't even inhaling it.
He was done. He was done.
He's all.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
he's such a fun guy, man.
Oh,
I would
yeah, he
recommend
is.
hanging out with Sammy at any show, because
Yeah.
Sammy just makes the show fun. I mean, Sammy's
And he'll
one of
give
those
you the
guys
shirt
that
off his
comes
own
with the
back.
world.
He will come with those pink shirts left and right, and he will give you the shirt off his back if he don't have it for you.
Well, and I remember I was trying to get him to say something negative, and I'm like, look what happened, Sammy. You gave away 1 million pink shirts at your expense, and you only got 2% of the vote. So your people weren't even coming through for you.
He said next time put 2% on him.
Yeah. dude, but that's a great marketing campaign, fam.
Yeah.
He's like watered down milk. Okay.
Oh man, 2% milk.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I would recommend anybody that doesn't know Sammy, if you see him at a show, go up to him. I mean, I think all of us.
Man.
You
Oh
should
yeah.
come up to and at least,
That's the first time I met him was at Pomona. Came out of nowhere.
Right.
He's like, "Oh, I watch you guys' show all the time." I was like, "Really?" Yeah, but I seen him from Hardwire. I was like, "I wonder who this dude is." Just want to see what he looked like. Yep, that was he. Sure
Dude,
enough
isn't it
came
funny?
up.
He's the only 300-pounder that could sneak up on you. Because when you do see him, he just comes out of nowhere. It's like you're looking at the spot, you turn away for a second, you look again, Sammy's there smiling with his shirts, in each hand, and I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna wear your shirt, like he's telling me all the time. Like I got like 3 Sammy shirts, never wore one of them.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna do it, brother.
So I'm asking one more question on the gatekeeping topic again. And actually somebody messaged me about this one. I don't know why, but if we were, the question was, if we were to sell a gene or a snake to a big breeder, would you give them a discount? And if so, how much would it be? And what's the benefits of that? And my answer to that was, it depends. Every snake sale, it depends on the actual snake sale, not necessarily for me, the buyer. I don't really have a hatred toward anyone. If you got the value of what we're trying to sell this snake for and it's on the market, the customer can pretty much be whoever. So that, I guess they're saying that certain buyer or certain sellers are picking and choosing their buyers. I didn't know that the market was that good. The market been okay to us, but we can't pick and choose our buyers over here. So we're not that blessed yet. Have you ever had to experience something like that in regards to the gatekeeping side? You as a seller picking and choosing who you want to sell it to?
Yeah, when we first bought the Stranger in, yeah, because a ton of people were asking about it, so when we finally had babies, a ton of people were asking about it, but I don't consider that gatekeeping. What I consider gatekeeping is when you spend $20,000 to bring 2 strangers into America, and then some other American tells you you're not allowed to sell males for the next 2 years. I'm like, that's like gatekeeping, yeah, because I was like, bitch, we just spent 20 grand on these. We get any, we're selling males, and we sold males the first year anyway.
But and how they going to stop you from selling those? Just by telling you?
But I got phone calls motherfucking me. Like I definitely got a few phone calls. Right? But yeah, I was in a position, but I sold them to the first one that had the money. And as far as like, do you give the big breeders a discount? Fuck no, you don't.
Right.
You charge them more. Okay, they got the money, right? Yeah. So it's just like for instance, Donato, my ex-partner in BALLZ, he just put out a triple visual from a head-to-head pairing, a triple head to triple head pairing. He put out a triple head visual, right? And somebody came and offered him $30,000 for the snake, right? So the people are still out there who will spend that kind of money. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So he happened to just say no, he wants to hold it back. But I don't know if I could have made that decision. 30 grand potential, 200 grand next year. I'm like,
Right.
I'll take 30 grand now.
I'll take the 30 grand now.
Yeah,
Now,
he's
were the
a better
jeans
man
old?
than I am.
Are,
So
are they old jeans or they're kind of like new recesses?
it's a VPI, a Xanthic Clown, Desert Ghost.
Hmm.
Oh
I
yeah,
see what
yeah.
Tim
I
is getting
remember.
at. Will they try to get a discount because of their name? Yeah, we've heard that too. That some say you come on our brand here at Flawless, and we do an interview with you, and we pay you a discounted rate for a combination that we needed. I don't think that our brand has that much reach to be able to benefit a seller giving us a discount on a purchase. I don't think anyone's brand right now is going to give the seller that's at a lower level than them enough of a bump by thousands and thousands of dollars for them to kind of discount a snake like that. I don't.
Well,
Maybe
you negotiate it, right? I mean, that's
right,
the thing to do. It's just negotiate out a price that you could live with and that he could live with.
right, right,
Because if it's not fair, if either one of you think it's not fair, that other guy, no matter what, whether he bought it from you or sold to you, is gonna motherfuck you
right,
publicly. At
right,
some point, or he has the potential bullet to fire, to do that in the future to you. And
right.
people do that now. And if you guys out there think that people don't do it, people hold back information to use the information later on.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, but like you said, it's a bargaining chip. Shoot, if you had 500,000 YouTube followers, subscribers, and
Mhm.
you're doing big numbers and you're doing it at a large level, and you see something you want, and maybe you want to help pick them up. Okay, cool. You negotiate that. But if you're going to negotiate a price down in order to kind of open up your brand for them and bring them on your platform, that's all in negotiations, but they can still drop the ball. If you go up there, you're not on social media, and you go up there, say, face, hey, this for sale gone, and then you disappear into the abyss. What was the point?
yeah, well,
That's like going on your show, Chris, going on your show, campaigning, doing well, and the show ends, and I sit with my collection and don't do anything. Right, Darren?
yeah, that is Darren.
That's exactly what I did.
Well, I'll tell you a Ralph Davis story. Fucking, we bought $18,000 worth of snakes from Ralph Davis, and that was when I was just gonna start the podcast, and I was like, I'm not gonna give you this $18,000 unless you agree to do the podcast with us, and that's kind of how I got Ralph Davis. And not many people have done it since then. So
You're the only. Who else? Nobody else got him besides you.
I think he might have went on a fewer older ones, but I was definitely the first one to have him, and nobody's had him since. I'll tell you that. But there's still a chance. But the thing is that with Ralph Davis, if you go up to 20 people at Tinley and you ask 18 of them who Ralph Davis was, I guarantee you 18 of them will say no. I have no idea who you're talking about. As far as new keepers go,
Right.
Yeah.
So
I was a crackhead on his website. I was always looking at his website.
right,
I was.
on
You
there,
see his clutch list and everything, and look at that, and go
you just
back
hit
and
reload every 10 minutes just to see if anything's new. Yeah, no, I remember, man.
Man. So are you keeping anything at all nowadays, Chris?
I got me a blue tongue skink. I'm thinking about getting a couple more of those and breed those. And I'd like to get into green trees, but God knows I ain't gonna do a podcast about it because then I'll get shit all over. So I'm not gonna do that. So fucking maybe I'll do Amazon basins even, but I'd like to get something because I do a show with Bionic Benny, right, about amputee people, and Benny has some animals that, like, as a dude with one leg, I don't really think it's a good idea for you to have, right?
Right.
Yeah, Benny has like a fucking, an 18-foot berm. He got a bunch of water monitors. He got big animals, right? He has a Gila monster, and I'm like, dude, like you got one leg, man. All right, if that thing gets free or decides to get mad at you, you have half the chance of an average person getting away, right? And Benny does all this stuff So I'm starting to think like I would love to get into the medium to large monitors too, but I'm not going to do that in New York out of a 1-bedroom apartment.
Right.
Where these things need 8-foot cages a piece. I'm not going to do
Yeah.
that. So when I move to Tennessee, I'll start looking into that.
Yeah, you need to move ASAP. Are you in the city area, or because last time I've been
Yeah.
up and looking in New York, man, I seen
I'm
studio apartments were like $3,000 a month for a little
Yeah,
box.
yeah.
It's crazy.
People everywhere else think I'm rich just because of my
Yeah,
rent. Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm like, dude, I'm not rich, man.
Oh
um,
yeah.
it's insane. I'm 13 miles from Manhattan.
Hmm.
So that means that Manhattan could be either 20 minutes away or it could be 3 hours away, depending on traffic, right?
That is
So
crazy.
it it's
Hmm.
it, it is it's so stupid. It's
Yeah.
so stupid. But
It's
but
It
but
is
I want a
crazy.
place with a yard. I want a place with, some trees around. Like I really want to do Tennessee because I'd love to see like a Bigfoot in my backyard in the morning, right? I'd love to just look out the window and then Bigfoot just walking through my yard, and I'm like, all right, there's more of a chance of that happening in Tennessee than in New York,
We've been
So
looking at stuff now. We're looking for a little compound, but we're going to clear all the trees after going through Hurricane Helene down here. We're going to clear all the trees out the middle, and in the middle of 20 acres, that's where we're going to be because we're done with the
that's the way to
trees.
do it. Yeah,
Yep.
just have the compound cleared out and then have trees
Yep.
on the exterior. Yeah,
Yep.
that's where no
Exactly.
matter what falls, it can't hit your house.
There you go. And if you want to cut something down, you could just cut. You ain't got a plan and just let it
Yeah,
fall where it fall and clean up. Yep. So
yeah.
that's
I want to
definitely
be
the
able to
goal.
pee off my own deck, and I want to be able to shoot a gun on my own property. That's all I want to do. Right?
He said,
Oh
number one
man.
thing, I gotta pee off my own
Man.
deck. Nobody can see
Yeah.
it, they can see me.
So,
Oh man. So we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up. We're a little over an hour today. Appreciate everybody stopping in and giving us your time here on a Sunday. I've been laughing nonstop. My eyes are
Yeah,
watering.
my
And
eyes are watering like crazy.
we appreciate Chris stopping through.
oh,
Man, you
thank
definitely, if you don't know who he is, I mean, you're literally under a rock. I mean, it's just really that simple. But
Well,
tune in.
just if I could just say this real quick,
Go ahead.
we have
Go
a
ahead.
big
Absolutely.
we have a big veterans initiative launching next month called Operation Deeds Not Words, and we're going to be doing that at least until July 4th. We're going to be showing up at shows. We're going to have tables just to get donations in for the veterans, and we're putting out a really cool shirt. Every dime that we make of this, me, Green Line, and Reagan Renee, we're contributing to Camp Freedom down in Pennsylvania, where they let the vets still do like military operations and everything, outdoor nature stuff, like in this camp. So, like for the people who have PTSD, they gradually get them out of it by adjusting different things, and
Wow.
that's going to be a big thing. So the only thing I ask is that everybody support that, even if you don't support me as a person on my show, support the veteran thing, because that's one of the bigger things that I like to do every year.
Where can
Absolutely.
they donate?
Well, they could donate by buying a shirt. We're just having the shirts made up now. We're actually launching it at the Southeast Reptile Expo. So
Nice.
Okay.
Well, we'll be
yeah,
there. We'll be there
yeah,
in
yeah. I
person.
know. I can't wait to hang with you guys. Um,
Absolutely.
so we're gonna do that, and just buy a shirt. Take a picture of yourself in the shirt. We'll tag you. We'll shout you out on all of our socials and everything. And we did, I think, $3,000 for Till Valhalla
Okay.
2 years ago. Then we did about 2,500 for the Hero Company that we did last year, and I'm hoping that we hit 10,000 this year for Camp Freedom. So
Let's
that's gonna be
go. Let's go. You heard it. Don't only come by and check us out at the Southeast Reptile Expo. Check out Chris Eaton. The Fat Man is going to be there in the flesh. Stop by his booth and support the cause. We appreciate everybody stopping through this week. And we'll see you guys again in 2 more weeks. Have a good one.
Take it easy, guys.